Hello, I'm Janet Morana, the Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, once again, I went back into our archives and I found another wonderful interview that Father Pavone and I did for a show we did for Sky Angel called The Gospel of Life. Well, the person we interviewed today, her name is Peggy Hartshorn. At the time of that recording, she was the president of Heartbeat International, which is one of the largest umbrella groups of pregnancy centers all over the world. And now Peggy, of course, has stepped down from being the president. The new president is Jarrell Gotze, but Peggy is still very much involved. In fact, she's the chairman of the board for Heartbeat International. So let's take a look at that program right now.
It is one thing to oppose abortion, but what do we do for those who feel they need one? Find out next on Gospel of Life. Hello, I'm Reverend Frank Pavone, Director of Gospel of Life Ministries. Welcome to our program. Today, Janet, our Associate Director, and I are once again welcoming Peggy Hartshorn, who is the President of Heartbeat International, a network of pregnancy resource centers that are providing alternatives to abortion. Peggy, welcome back.
Thank you very much,
Peggy.
Father. Thank you, Janet.
Let's talk about how all the different options that are available to someone who's seeking an abortion are communicated to her. How do we get the word out that help is available so that no one ever has to feel that the only way to solve their problems is to abort their child?
Well, we have a wonderful opportunity now, a somewhat easy way to help people to really get connected with all of those options. And that's our option line, our 1-800 number, 1-800-395-HELP. And that number actually rings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is answered in a call center located in Columbus, Ohio, where Heartbeat International is located actually in our same building. And it's wonderful. I can go down to those offices and every day and have the blessing of meeting with one or more of the 35 to 40 consultants that we have now that are answering that phone 24/7. And their goal is to connect those callers to the Alternatives to Abortion, the Pregnancy Center Network, closest to her that provides the services she needs. So it's a wonderful way of getting women the help they need immediately. They can get it 24/7 simply by promoting that number and or that website. Because many girls, and we know this with the younger generation now, even when they have a phone number or the name of an organization for help, they'll immediately check the web, check it out. So sometimes people like to go immediately to the website, which is optionline.org or pregnancycenters.org.
And once again, just in a nutshell, the kind of services we're talking about that this number connects them with are what?
Whatever they need. At that point, when they think they may be pregnant or have just found out that they're pregnant, they may need a pregnancy test. They may need a confirmation of pregnancy, which we can provide in our medical pregnancy centers with ultrasound. They may think they need financial support. They may think that they need housing. They may think that they simply need to talk to someone. They may know that they have all kinds of needs and are feeling overwhelmed. And so our option line, our pregnancy centers can connect them and provide for them whatever help that they need. Often they feel abandoned and alone. That's a very, very common concern. And sometimes being able to talk to someone, being encouraged to bring the family into it. Yes, do bring the father of the child into this discussion.
Yes, that's right.
That's often what they need.
Well, now, say someone makes that call. There's now several operators standing on by.
That's right.
And so suppose I call you, Peggy, and I say, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. I think I need to have an abortion because I can't have a baby. What's that operator going to do at that moment?
At that moment, she'll listen first. Listen to you. She'll say, I'm glad you called. I'm here to help you. Tell me more about your situation. All right. And once we find out what the needs are of that client, what questions she's asking, what concerns she has, sometimes the consultant will talk to her for a few minutes, try to listen to her, but not to try to solve the problem right then and there, but immediately to connect her without having her make another call with a pregnancy center. So she'll say to her, the consultant, by the way, is facing a computer screen where she has access to all the pregnancy centers in the Option Line network, which is about 2,000 now. And based on where the client is calling from, based on where she lives or where she wants to go for help, she can access the 5 closest resources and match up that girl's needs with the resources available in the pregnancy center network.
Okay, so now while she's on the phone,
She doesn't have to make another call.
they get the pregnancy center on the phone.
That's right.
Now, what if this is like during the night? Obviously, the pregnancy center is not available, right?
Right.
They're not 24/7 like the
Exactly.
option is. What happens then?
Some pregnancy centers actually do have 24-hour hotlines, and we can connect her directly to a hotline in her community.
So that information the operator has on the
Right.
screen.
The Option Line consultant knows if there's a 24-hour hotline in that girl's immediate area. If not, the Option Line consultant will try to calm the crisis, try to really listen and form a relationship with the client, sometimes actually has an opportunity to pray with her or share the Lord with her. If she's really, really upset and needs to talk, that's what the consultant will do. But she always leaves her then with the contact information for her local pregnancy center. The hours, the name, the phone number, and can always say to her, call us back tomorrow and we'll directly connect you.
That's right.
All right.
Okay, now she makes the connection. The center talks to her, makes her an appointment, I guess, to come. What happens then? Like, what do they really do for that girl from the time she arrives? Because I think very often people say, well, okay, I would feel better referring people to this phone number if I really know what happens at the other end, you know?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, I'm a volunteer in our local pregnancy center and in Columbus, Ohio, that my husband and I helped start back in 1981. And they still allow me to volunteer there once a month, which is a real blessing. But I actually had the opportunity of getting a call from Option Line. Actually, it came into the center's 24-hour hotline the night before, and they made an appointment for the client to come to the pregnancy center the next morning. I was the volunteer. So the client that had been referred to this pregnancy center from Option Line actually came in the next morning, and one of the first things we asked her, where did you hear about us? Well, I called this 800 number, and they connected me to your center, and that's why I'm here. And so what happened in that particular case, which is very typical of what happens when a client comes into a pregnancy center, is that I sat down with her and after getting a little background information just said, tell me about your needs. Tell me what's on your mind. And I really tried to listen to her and develop a relationship. At Heartbeat International, we teach an approach to the clients that we call the love approach, L-O-V-E. And it's based on 1 Corinthians 13. What is love? But the first step, the L step, is listening. We have to establish a relationship with this client because we don't want to be forcing our own agenda on this client. We need to know what is most concerning for her, what's really on her mind and on her heart. And when we can connect that way, then we move on to the next step, which is the O step, opening her options. Abortion is not her only option. You came to the right place. We can help you look at all of your options. And we focus on, of course, the life options, the parenting options. Parenting that child as a single parent, perhaps with both parents involved, and maybe marriage is an option. We want to encourage that. Or adoption, that parenting choice, making an adoption plan for your child. So we work through the options, and then the V step is trying to encourage a new vision and value. What is God's vision for her? What's God's vision for her child? What value does she have as a child of God? Because so many of our clients are feeling so small, so low, so unworthy, so worthless, and so abandoned, that introducing that new vision of how much God loves them, how much we love them, and then the E step in the LOVE is extend and enable or encourage her to take that next step toward life. How can we extend our help? Can you come back? Can I see you again next week? Can we extend through community referrals? Can we connect you to a church that may be able to help you?
Now, the client that you just had, you just referred to, what was her story? I mean, without telling us her name or anything.
Well, actually, her story's on our website because she's allowed me to use her story. It was so, I believe it was a gift from the Lord for me to actually be able to have an option line client come into the pregnancy center the day I was volunteering and be able to follow her through. Her name is Alicia. Her story's on our website. And she was feeling a lot of pressure toward abortion because the boyfriend she had had a relationship with, they were co-workers. There was a policy against fraternization. She was afraid both of them would lose their jobs. She was afraid that he would really push her toward abortion. And so she was very, very concerned and upset. We were able to work through some of those feelings, talk about them. She was afraid that her parents would throw her out of the home, particularly her father, if he found out she was pregnant. We worked through talking about her relationships with her parents. I encouraged her, first of all, to tell her mother. And she said, yes, she did believe her mother would help and understand and love her despite it. We worked through the vision step. We prayed together. I encouraged her. I asked her if I could call her back, follow up with her, which I did. And what happened in that case was that afternoon she called me back and said, I called my mother right away. As soon as I left the center, I called my mother and told her, and she was very supportive. And so she and her mother started working out a plan. As it turned out, I kept in touch with her through the pregnancy. She's redeveloping that relationship. Hopefully there will be marriage in the future, but her little baby's been born, beautiful, healthy little girl. And she says, thanks to you and the option line and the pregnancy center, not me personally, of course, but those alternatives that were available to her. She said, now I have Alexis, and she's the light of my life.
Isn't that wonderful? So many stories like that.
Yeah, this happens day in and day out.
Every day.
Hundreds
Yeah, I
in pregnancy centers every day.
Very often these girls are afraid to tell their parents. So what happens is they go off and just have an abortion.
Yes.
And then later on the parents say, well, if only we had known, we would have helped you.
And sometimes the boyfriends say that too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a little break now, and then we'll come back and explore some more of the work that these centers do on a daily basis. Brothers and sisters, stay with us.
There's nothing wrong with your television set. You don't see anything because there's nothing there. Abortion, the most common surgery in America. Why don't we ever see what it looks like? A message from Priests for Life.
I want to be a fireman when I grow up. I want to be a teacher. I want to be president of the United States. I want to find a cure for cancer.
The choice to have an abortion alters the course of the future. Please remember, where there's life, there's hope. A message from Priests for Life.
Welcome back. We're talking with Peggy Hartshorn, president of Heartbeat International. And Peggy, you've told us that there are thousands of these pregnancy centers. Some of them are medical clinics, however. And tell us the advantage that gives to these centers.
Well, when a center becomes a medical clinic, and that means they have a medical director, a physician they're practicing medicine, in a sense, under that physician's license. And the medical practice they have is confirming pregnancy through the ultrasound, primarily, by being able to actually find that fetal heartbeat and sometimes even the shape of the developing embryo so that the mother can see that. They're actually able to confirm that she has a viable uterine pregnancy. The baby is not in the tubes, which could be life-threatening, but she is, in fact, pregnant.
I've always thought that being a medical clinic really levels the psychological playing field, so to speak, because the woman who might be considering an abortion says, well, there's clinic and doctor. What's over here? Well, if she could say clinic and doctor, then okay, now I'm getting the same kind of professional help in both places.
And there are surveys that ask women, if you are pregnant and think you're desperate, you're feeling afraid, who would you want to go to? And the first person they actually say is a doctor. So yes, having medical services is a big draw for abortion-minded and abortion-vulnerable clients. It has really helped us to attract more of those clients to our centers, and we provide a very important service because women in the past, and still today, unfortunately, can go to an abortion clinic. There have been documented cases of abortions being performed when the woman was actually not pregnant, or the embryo was growing in that fallopian tube.
Right. Now,
Well, you just said, abortion-minded, abortion-vulnerable. Well, abortion-minded to me is a woman who comes in and says, I'm looking for an abortion, and somehow calls your number as opposed to going to the abortion clinic. But abortion-vulnerable, what's
Abortion
that?
vulnerable is a very important term that we've recognized today for so many of our clients fall into the category of abortion vulnerable. They're very young, they may be poor, they may be feeling pressured into having an abortion by boyfriend, parents, friends, and they may have very few resources for continuing that pregnancy. And although they may say, well, I don't know, I don't think I could ever have an abortion, I've never ever thought I would have an abortion. Or they may be, in fact, even saying, I'm going to continue the pregnancy. But we see that there are so many factors that could push them toward
easily.
that abortion. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've had cases where that's happened.
we have a commercial that we want to show that advertises this phone number we were talking about, the option line. Let's show that now. And brothers and sisters, this is a spot that you can use also in your community. Let's watch it.
It's positive. I'm pregnant.
My boyfriend panicked, and I was worried what my family would say.
I just didn't know what to do.
If you're facing an unplanned pregnancy, you have options. You don't have to be alone. Call 1-800-395-HELP. Our services are totally confidential and free. If you're pregnant, call now. There is help.
Well, let's talk about ways of getting this number out, not only by use of that commercial, but in other ways as well.
Right. Well, we always encourage that most churches have a bulletin of some sort, and the contact information on the cover of that bulletin usually doesn't change. It has the address, who the pastor is. Well, certainly they could put that option line, 800-395-HELP number right on the cover of that bulletin. And I know sometimes you have posters that are available, and they can get those from us, too.
There are billboards that advertise that number.
Billboards.
Right. So, and we're encouraging pregnancy centers and groups that provide alternatives to abortion to put that number in their Yellow Pages ad, because sometimes people would prefer to call an 800 number versus a local number for anonymity. And that number will send them right back to their local pregnancy center for support.
Yes.
So any way that number can be promoted, we encourage
One
that.
thing, the viewers watching right now should write that number down and commit it to memory. Have it always there in their wallet, in their purse, put it up on your refrigerator. You never know when the moment is going to arise when you have to refer someone to that help.
Make sure, I think, that your pastors know about that number, because very often a woman will come to a pastor seeking help, and he needs to have to reach out and get the services.
And the guidance office of the local schools.
That's right. Guidance counselors, very often in some of these public schools, they counsel these girls to go to an abortion clinic. Well, let's try to swing it the other way, too, and let's make this other number available.
Absolutely. And young people particularly sometimes will prefer the website. So presenting that number with the website is also good. Optionline.org or pregnancycenters.org.
They're both the same, lead to the same
They both
place.
go into the same place, where many people, in fact, we're getting 96,000 visitors a month to the Optionline website. And many of those people, although we advertise the phone number at the website, will search the database and find the pregnancy center in their area without even calling the 800 number. So the website itself is a wonderful resource, optionline.org or pregnancycenters.org.
Yes. So, Janet, the Heartbeat Conference is one of the places where we go as Gospel of Life Ministries and Priests for Life to meet a lot of these center directors. And as we conclude here, we only have another moment. The healing after abortion is also something that's provided by many of these centers.
By our centers. And in fact, the post-abortion healing program started in pregnancy centers and have grown from pregnancy centers.
Yes.
And Optionline, actually our database can be sorted on the website for post-abortion programs. And so we want to make that Optionline number available as well for women who have had abortions and need healing.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
And thank you, brothers and sisters, for all that you do to spread this life-saving information. Take some of these suggestions, and it's up to you now. There are some women that only you can reach, some lives that only you can save, some abortions that only you can stop. Thanks to having watched this program, those lives may now have a greater chance of being brought to the light of day.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed that interview with Peggy Hartshorn. And, pregnancy centers, you could be an ambassador of the message of the great work that are being done at pregnancy centers, because, some women choose abortion because they feel there's no one there to help them. They might feel trapped, abandoned, desperate, like, they have to choose between, their job and education and their baby and abortion and all that. And pregnancy centers are here to give them real resources, real help. You heard Peggy talk about medical, doctors if they need it, a place to stay if necessary, because some people are told parents are kicking kids out of the house. If you don't have the abortion, we'll throw you out, or all kinds of things they're told. And pregnancy centers offer real help, and not just until the baby's born, but even after that, with child classes about how to care for your baby, all kinds of things. So I would invite you to learn where the nearest pregnancy center is to where you live. Go to a simple website, pregnancycenters.org, put in your zip code, and you'll see where the nearest pregnancy center is. You can be an ambassador for them. Say, if you hear of anyone who's pregnant and in need, speak up and say, hey, I know where you can get some help, and tell them the name of the pregnancy center and give them the phone number. Maybe you should even go for a visit. Maybe you have time you could help them volunteer. Oh, great. But even if you don't, go and visit and really see for yourself. Just don't take Janet's word. See for yourself the wonderful work they do at those pregnancy centers. And this way, too, you're even more confident to recommend them. Maybe if you're going to go for a visit, invite your priest, your pastor, a deacon from your church to go with you, so they too can be very confident about recommending that pregnancy center and helping maybe to support the pregnancy center. So I really hope you get involved. Go to pregnancycenters.org. All right. Well, of course, this is an important election year, and we at Priests for Life, we're very engaged in this election, helping people with voter registration and all kinds of activities that you can do right from your own home to make a difference in this election. I'd like to invite you to be in contact with us. We have a full-time staff person, Byron White, who is heading up our political action committee here at Priests for Life. You can go to a simple form on our website, prolifevolunteer.com. Again, it's prolifevolunteer.com. Fill out that form, and Byron and our team will be in touch with you and just give you some simple things you can do for this election. And every Wednesday evening, Father Pavone and I have these Zoom calls where we give you activities. We have speakers that come on and really give us practical information how we could all make a difference in this election. We also have at Priests for Life some great resources, starting with this beautiful prayer, the election prayer for life, written by Father Pavone. And we have this up on our website. Go to electionprayer.com. You can download the prayer in English or in Spanish, and there's also a button there to click where you can order these prayer cards free of charge. Or send me an email at orders@priestsforlife.org, and let's start saying this prayer every day together. Because if we're praying about results of this election and then working for it, we're going to get good results. In addition, Father Frank has written 2 other great brochures that help us for the election, Voting with a Clear Conscience, and 10 responses for pro-abortion politicians. Again, these are also available. I'll send them to you free of charge. And go to orders@priestsforlife.org. And finally, we're in the process of making another party comparison, comparing the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. We did it for 2016. We're going to do it now for 2020. We're just waiting a few more weeks. Both parties will have solidified their party platform to see if there's any changes, and we'll make another party comparison. If you'd like to receive that, you can pre-order them now at orders@priestsforlife.org. Tell us how many copies you'd like, and we also will send that to you absolutely free of charge. So thank you for joining us on this program. And of course, tune in every day to endabortion.tv. 10 o'clock in the morning, Father Pavone says the daily Mass, and it's repeated every evening at 6. And of course, this program also. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, God bless.